Don't blame Amtrak, blame Congress. This is the focus group.
It's the savvy side of 9 to 5. Listen.
Bueller.
Laugh. And learn.
Negotiation. This is what you do in business.
This is the focus group with Tim Bennett.
Staunch.
And John Nash.
Keep your clothes looking neat and clean.
We're all business. Except when we're not.
Yeah, oh no, you were calm.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the focus group. I didn't change. John said he liked my shirt. This was an old homecoming shirt from my college, Marietta, and I'm late, and we're all late, because I was on an Amtrak train since, well, a while. The infrastructure broke down because of, it's the first humid day here on the East Coast, and there was a 1,500-volt fluctuation, so the trains were kind of coming and going. And then a microstorm came through near Edison, New Jersey. Microburst. And, of course, a tree fell on the wires, and then there was a fire. So my train that usually gets in at 11 got in at 1.
And here we are.
And everybody was complaining, and we had some bigwigs on the train from Amtrak. And everybody was complaining, and a lot of people were. But I said, you know what, don't yell at Amtrak, yell at Congress. Because this infrastructure thing that everybody's talked about for a long time is an issue. And until it just crumbles to where we can't move around, particularly in the Northeast, because we subsidize the rest of you people. I'm going to say it.
Someone is...
Anyway,
Dukes are up.
I'm irritated. I read all this nonsense, particularly it's June Pride. Hi, John.
Happy Pride. Good to see.
People in Alabama and all these other places bitching and moaning about stuff, and all of our tax money go down to you welfare states. And then we've got I can't get to New York on the train. I know first world problems.
Hey, you and I are not immune to the Amtrak problems. On our old platform, there was one day I show up at the studio. I believe it was winter. And our old producer, Katie, says, oh, Tim's going to have to call in from the train and do part of the show from the train. And I'm like, why? And then you called. So we had like 20 minutes before, and I'm like, what's going on? The train's sitting. We hit an empty refrigerator.
Put a refrigerator on the track.
So that became this whole thing of how did a refrigerator get on the track? How did a refrigerator even get near the track, right?
I get wound up. Anyway, hello. Hi, boys in the booth. Garrett and Steve are there.
How's it going?
We have Garrett and Steve, our problem solvers. They've been navigating today. They've solved all our problems, basically.
I was thinking maybe you guys should order pizza. I was waiting.
No, when I came in, Garrett was finishing what looked like a delicious sandwich. And I think Steve had
Garrett
lunch
has good food. Do you make it, Garrett, or you buy it?
Well, I didn't make food this week because I was out for Father's Day, but usually I make food on Sunday and bring it in, yeah.
Okay.
Garrett, I didn't know that. Do you really do that for most days of the week?
Yeah, I usually just cook everything Sunday and bring it, make enough for...
He usually has a sack of boiled eggs he brings in. That's really it. He's not a big-time cook.
Because those always smell good after a couple days.
Then I just microwave some fish in the break room.
Tuna in a packet.
The minute you microwave fish, the microwave is toast. It just... I don't know about fish.
There was a rule in a building I lived in Minneapolis that you could not, they said you could not cook fish.
Was that
there was a loft, yeah, because it would stink up other places, so purposely I would do that. And broccoli was another one. They didn't want broccoli steamed. There was a whole list of rules of which you could cook and not cook because it would smell up the place.
And this is an apartment you rented?
Minnesota nice.
And you had to follow these weird rules, huh?
I didn't follow them. I would steam broccoli, but I didn't make fish a lot. I would buy fish, or I'd eat fish out. I usually tried to eat fish out.
So are we approaching, is this weekend Pride New York, or is it
No, it's next
the
weekend.
last
It's the last
Sunday?
weekend
Okay, it's the last.
right?
I thought so. I used to think it was the third Sunday, but it's the last Sunday.
Last full weekend of the month. I would think you're all prided out here. I mean, this is nonstop. Train stations decked out, rainbow colors. Philly's inviting you down. I don't know what train they're on. They're saying it takes 90 minutes to get there. People in Visit Philly, you got that wrong. It's 80 minutes.
Today was an unusually bad day, and it's been a long time since something like this weird double whammies happened. You double whammied. I mean, it's like what was that game show we used to watch?
Press Your Luck.
The whammy?
Yeah, the whammy. I didn't like that.
Remember that little gremlin would come up and say, it was Press Your Luck, right? And so you got to the train station. They had power down. You get on the train. Tim, we're on the phone. He's like, train's pulling in. I said, are you sure you want to get on the train? I said, you could do, go home
and do Skype.
You're like, no, it's pulling in. And then you were flying, and then the microburst happens.
Well, it was full of Amtrak bigwigs, too, all in suits and on phones, and a lot of other conductors, because we were the first Amtrak train to get going out of Trenton. And so I figured, I mean, we were the fastest I've ever seen this train go. We were moving, and then, boom, dead stop. So, no, there's fire. It's like Eastern Europe, pre-war.
So anyway, back to Pride. I've seen a lot of stuff, but I haven't participated in a lot of things myself. But a lot of organizations are doing things. You and I actually are going to be next week presenting some of the focus group to an upfront kind of thing.
Right.
As part of a media week.
I was wondering what, I've seen a lot of posts on Facebook, too, about different events going on, but I don't know. I have a number of friends that went to Pride events in the last few years, and they're not going this year because they said, in New York, they had said the last couple of years it was not as billed. In other words, they paid a lot of money for tickets to see concerts and see things, and they'd get there, and it didn't necessarily pan out the way they wanted. So I was surprised that they weren't going this year, because I thought if all years to go, the 50th anniversary of Stonewall probably would be the time
Big one, right?
to attend. And these are people from out of town, so it's expensive. If you come up here for a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because a lot of events are Sunday afternoon, right? So think it's 3 or 4 night hotel room. That alone could be what, $400 or $500 a night for a decent hotel room?
Easy. I mean, you're not going to get away with spending less than $250 a night, I think, right?
I don't know. If you can
Especially
find it, let us know.
Summer rate. I mean, if you're competing with everybody that's coming over from doing all their vacationing and stuff, yeah. I was going to take, when we had Keith on a few weeks ago when you were doing your speech in Boston, I think I was going to take up Keith's recommendation of theater. This is a good month to do a lot of theater. And in fact, he sent me a note that there was a show he profiled when he was on called Camp Wood.
Is that Camp? I saw that on
Morningwood.
Yeah.
Camp Morningwood. So he went to see the show, and he said to me, he goes, entertaining, fun. It's off Broadway. Yeah, I guess that's a code word for it's off Broadway.
Off Broadway.
I don't know what that. I don't know what to take of that. But he said, if you want to get tickets, let me know, and I think I might want to take Bob to see that.
Off Broadway theater in Manhattan is like superstar theater in any other town, though.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Totally. And it
Off-Broadway
could be
in New
really
York.
fun shows.
Keith, by the way, sent a note. And I saw it yesterday on Facebook. He was featured in a MasterCard ad.
I saw it on Facebook, too.
Yeah, and
he's one of
had
3 people
posted
they
it,
interviewed,
yep,
right?
Talking about acceptance, and it's a great spot. I'll post it to our Facebook site and at Focus Group Radio, so you can take a look at it. But he was delighted. He said it's the first time somebody's talked to him for who he was.
That's what he.
Other than us here in the Focus Group.
I saw it in my feed. Now, Tim knows that I don't go to my Facebook feed too often. In fact,
Because you didn't invent it. You only go places you found first, which I agree with.
I'll take that, because I just, so I went to the feed, the feed, whatever this thing is, right? It's not me, but it's all
your little
the
notes.
feed. And I see the post by Keith, and I didn't click to watch the video, but I did read the headline that it's finally someone is showing me for me. And then I started scrolling down, and there's so-and-so, I'll like that picture, I'll like this. 20 minutes go by. I've said this before. I look at my watch, and I'm like, whoa, what have I just done? I've clicked a bunch of thumbs up. I've seen a couple pictures. I don't know. I do know for me, I think it's a colossal waste
Does
of
Bob
time.
go on?
No, Bob. Actually, Bob is so rarely on Facebook that when he puts a post or an update, it gets all these likes, because he's like, it's like a little thing popping up, like, it pops away and goes.
There's a friend of mine, there's a serial poster, similar to what Ruben was like on Twitter. And he just disappeared. And some people actually were searching Obits in his town because nobody had heard from him. They thought maybe he died. I laughed.
Really?
Yeah. There were a couple people that said, oh, my God, I can stop looking at the Obits. I figured you died. Because he would post probably 15, 20 things a day, and then it just stopped. He's like, nah, I took a break.
Was I talking to you about this weird thing about obituaries the other day? The New York Times ran an obituary of someone who died a year or two ago, famous author who worked with Saul Bellow. And the only reason they did the obituary was because they keep a file of famous people, or I guess first, second, and third tier. Really famous, kind of famous, somewhat.
It's like Bob Barker's has been done for the last 20 years.
All ready to go.
Ready to go. Just got to put the date.
So they were going through. They were going through their files, and they called this guy's nephew or son. I think it was their nephew. And he said, "Oh, no. He passed away over a year and a half ago in London." And when they wrote the obituary, they simply said, depending on who you are, where you live, and how connected you are, you could still pass away and people might not even know it. So to this whole thing about the person who was a serial tweeting all the time, they disappear, I don't have to check the obits. You never know, right?
Well, I thought that there was something where you had to. I think death notices
They do get published.
automatically published, but there's somebody I know that passed away, and I cannot find an obit anywhere. And I was wondering, do you have to do an obit?
No. A
So
notice of death is a legal requirement for
That's it.
for closing the estate, I would imagine. But yeah, I
You
don't
don't have to
think
publish an obit, huh?
no. And in fact, a lot of funeral homes, if people have a wake or something like a traditional,
Right.
they'll put a memory page up that serves as the obituary. You and I have done this where we haven't heard from somebody, and you're like, I wonder who is doing what. Tap 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 tap, and then like, oof. Like I did that 3 years ago. An old friend from many, many years ago. I thought, I wonder what he's up to. Obituary pops up, and had died a year earlier. But it was actually one of those ones that was done by the funeral home. It wasn't like.
Oh, on that happy note, what caught your eye this week?
What caught your eye? Here's what Tim and John found.
I've got a fun one. We're gonna. The ship is righted. We're sailing ahead. This thing, there's an online ticket service that did a study, and basically it's this: how does the music you listen to affect your sexual preferences, attitudes, and fetishes? To find out, this organization surveyed 1,010 people, all who enjoy listening to music and are sexually active. I mean, those are the criteria, and apparently they had this thing where if you were taking the survey, they would throw in a question now and then. They call it a ringer. If you didn't answer it fast enough or you didn't answer it at all, you were rejected because that means you weren't paying attention to the survey. So for starters,
How quick would you be kicked out of that survey?
Well,
First question.
It's like when you took your online, was it your GMAT? You fell asleep at the keyboard because you just got back from Tokyo.
Why?
Time out.
Read a story on dinosaurs and got a 0.
Top of the charts, music fans satisfied with sex life. So one of the graphics shows this chart, and Steve, you could blow it up, or it's hard to read. 57% of sexually active people were satisfied with their sex life. Now, for starters, let's just pause there for a second. What does that mean? The other percentage is not happy, or they're not completely
Listen, I think
content?
57's pretty high.
That's what they said here.
Boys are nodding yes.
Okay, so in terms of sexual satisfaction coupled to music, country music fans are the most likely to say they're satisfied with their sex life. Pop music fans, on the other hand, were least likely to be satisfied in the bedroom. One hypothesis is that pop music skews toward a younger demographic who may have yet to develop a clear understanding of sexual satisfaction, but they had heavy metal in there, alternative rock, classical music. Yeah, so
What did that one say about hip-hop, John? Hip-hop and rap fans
hip-hop
are least
and rap.
likely to give oral sex.
Is that what that says?
That says. What do you all think of that? You like hip-hop, Garrett?
I love it. Yeah, you know me.
Oh my God. Yeah, the great thing about Garrett and Steve is they listen, and then when they chime in, it's really right on target. That was good. Okay. Moving along, there is genres of sex, and this is favorite sexual positions. I'm not sure if I put this graphic in or not. By far, respondents' favorite sexual position was doggy style. No, I didn't put that graphic in. It was doggy style, which was favored 36% of the time. Most fans of doggy style, however, were also fans of hip-hop and rap. In fact, over 40% of hip-hop rap fans said their favorite position was doggy style, a higher percentage than any other genre studied. Pop fans particularly took to the missionary style. And last but not least, on mutual music, and that was the graphic that Steve had up a second ago, sex life by similarity to partners' music tastes. So this is where they look at, your compatibility. Sharing musical tastes, as it turns out, may lead to mutual sexual attraction and enjoyment. Nearly 80% of people with similar musical tastes to their partner were satisfied with their sex life, compared to just 43.6% of those with different music tastes. Frequency of sex was also impacted when partners enjoyed similar music. So if you liked the same kind of music, you probably enjoyed having sex more and you had more sex.
Where did you find this?
Well, it was the...
Reader's Digest?
No, it's real. And then last but not least, I thought this was fascinating, but they had this thing about AirPods.
Oof.
17% of Apple AirPod owners had sex while wearing them. So, you got to think about that for a second, right? Like,
They fall out of my ears when I'm just talking. How could you have sex with them on?
well, honey, I'm gonna tune you out. You'd put on your music, and see, that was the disc. They actually said in the research that the couples that wore headphones, specifically AirPods, during sex, they were listening to different music. I thought the whole thing was about being in the moment. You're playing your song, whatever. But that caught my eye. Little stats on
People
music.
have sex during music? Is that a thing?
What?
Listening to music?
Yeah, do you have sex when you're listening to music?
More like
Heard
when
of Luther Vandross?
There we go, Luther Vandross.
I guess my mom would be Lou Rawls. You'll never find ding 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 a love as strong as
Baccarat.
mine, or what? Or Burt Baccarat? Yeah.
I think when I was younger, it was more of a thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now it's like, who cares? Yeah. What are we
Also,
gonna-
I've never heard of people putting in AirPods and having sex.
No, that's crazy.
That's batshit. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it was only, Steve, to your point, it was only 17%. So
It's still a lot.
Fuck them.
17 out of 100.
it was a small amount. So that was an amusing little. I just thought that whoever constructed the research, how you came up with the question. Let's find out what people, you know what I mean? Let's find out how sex and music are intertwined. I mean, that's how they did that. All right, what'd you find?
Well, I couldn't believe it initially, but then I did see it fall into a number of feeds. So the headline is Pennsylvania man. Traffic circles are causing all of these tornaders. He said tornaders. This was just last week. So he's from Whitehaven, which is up near Scranton. So there was a discussion about climate change and what's going on. Apparently there have been an awful lot of tornadoes happening in the northeastern corridor of Pennsylvania. So they said scientists aren't exactly sure what's causing all this uptick. So they invited people to call into this TV station. And it's called, it's WNEP's video segment. It's called Talkback 16 on WNEP. And so they invite people to call in and give explanations as to why different phenomena are happening or what they feel about a certain or specific issue. So in reference to this climate change, this one caller, his call has gone viral. And I'll read exactly what he said.
It's better be good.
Well, I couldn't get the audio because there was too much click through, so I'll just read it. But this is a transcript of what he said. We didn't have tornaders here until we started putting in traffic circles. Because on account of you want to know why? When people go around and around in circles, it causes disturbance in the atmosphere, and that causes tornadoes. So he said that
That was his direct...
Yeah, on the station. And you're watching the newscasters sitting there, like looking at this.
Because the cars are going around...
Causing a disturbance.
A vortex. Got it. Okay.
So obviously then this went viral, and it picked up steam. This was over the end of May, and it picked up steam to the point where there was a radio station in Nashville that caught wind of this, and they invited people to call in a segment they have called 10-Minute Tune.
10 minutes. Okay.
There was a band. There's a musical group called the Band Steel, and they performed a country version of his phenomenon about the tornadoes. And one of the lines was, "I told you haters, roundabouts make tornadoes. And my F-150.
I told you haters,
roundabouts make tornadoes." And then they said, "And my F-150 just made an F5. You think I'm crazy, but the cows are flying." And so there was a 4-minute song they did. So this guy has really become quite the star around the world.
I like that one. I like
Scranton
that
area.
one. Scranton area. What?
Tornadoes.
Tornadoes.
I'll go out on a limb. If he did vote,
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think he was a Hillary voter. Could have voted for Johnson, Gary Johnson.
Hey, speaking of which, I was asking the guys in the booth if anybody watched Trump's...
I watched the whole thing.
I watched most of it, and here's the thing. You didn't have to watch it. You know why?
It's the best of.
It's a repeat of everything that was said 2 years ago, even down to when they got to lock her up. I'm like...
The airing of grievances.
Yeah, the airing of grief.
The only thing we didn't hear, which I was upset,
right?
the only thing I was upset about, we didn't hear anything about Pocahontas. We heard about Sleepy Joe. We heard about Crazy Bernie.
We didn't hear Build the Wall.
Hillary. Well, they did. Well, they were chanting "Build the Wall" before with Mike Pence. I don't know if you heard it with Mike Pence.
I didn't hear it with Pence. No.
Yeah, there was "Build the Wall, Build the Wall."
And by the way, Mike Pence. Didn't Trump put a shiv in the side, like a knife in his side, when someone said if he runs in whatever year it was, would you support him? He's like, I gotta see. What do you mean you gotta see? He's your vice president. I gotta see what the field looks like.
They had Huckabee up there. Just seemed to drag her up.
Yep.
It is so.
But there was a reporter who went down and waited with the masses to get it in. It was a hot, humid day. Rain was threatened, and he said, "You know what? To these people, he's an abstraction on some level. It's entertainment. It's all these things, but it's not what we think it is. It's like they're getting something out of it."
Well, it's the new slogan. Did you like the new slogan? Keep America great.
Oh, keep America, yeah, because you
got to get a hat. You got to get a new hat. I
forgot about that.
There's a Trump store, by the way. I don't know if you know that.
Oh my God, that means every mug, every hat.
Replace them all.
Now you got to get a new thing.
Get a new one.
Now it's make it. Now we got to keep it. Okay.
Right. Ivanka's got a barge coming from China as we speak. I'm sure with new Keep America Great hats and mugs, so forth and so on. Business.
But here's the thing. What can counteract that kind of? I mean, to the people who love him, and there are a lot of people who love the president and follow what he does and the Twitter thing and everything. I don't think they're going to think differently.
No.
And the Democratic field is the field. And you and I were actually we were talking about Mayor Pete recently, who had an amazing fundraising haul last month. I mean, it's $7 million. And Elizabeth Warren climbing and apparently the GOP is a little bit worried about her.
Well, I don't know why. I don't see her being presidential. I think she'd be a great cabinet secretary. I don't see her being president.
You and I like Mayor Pete.
I like Mayor Pete. I like Biden. Biden could be perceived as being old. I think Crazy Bernie and because I do think Bernie Sanders should run as an independent. He's an independent. He's not a Democrat. Stop screwing up the Democratic
well, that's a whole
election.
Yeah.
But I don't believe in free school and all the other nonsense and all it's doing is helping Trump label them socialists.
Oh, it plays right into that narrative. Yeah. That's the way I wanted to say it. Yeah.
Yeah. Business birthday.
Everyone does celebrity birthday greetings, but the Focus Group is the only show in the universe that celebrates business birthdays.
So this one, speaking of obituaries, so the business birthday today, born today, June 19th in 1954, was Lou Pearlman. Louis J. Pearlman, who's an American record producer
boy band.
And fraudster.
He
was manager of successful 90s boy bands such as the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. And so his obituary was quite amazing, and it went on forever for all the fraud and everything he did. But just simply, I have to read the one sentence. It says, flamboyant con man Lou Pearlman first operated a small travel agency, then a helicopter taxi shuttle service in New York City, a blimp advertising company which lost its blimps one by one in well-insured accidents.
Wait. In a well-insured accident? Okay.
He had all these blimps and they would crash.
Got to collect the insurance on that one.
Right. Then he moved into the music business. His first cousin was Art Garfunkel.
Wow, that's not a bad
He saw that
first
you can
cousin.
make money in the music business. And he liked the new kids on the block and thought there was a way if he could take 5 talented guys, young kids, and he'd be able to make some money. So he, smartly assembled the first pop group, the Backstreet Boys, in '92, followed by NSYNC, Aaron Carter, O-Town, and the German boy band US5. Is that how you say it?
Yep.
He operated dozens of sideline businesses, including a talent agency, recording studios. Also had travel agencies and an airline, just on paper, though. He collected money for those, but they never existed. He just sold stock. Big Ponzi schemes. And then he wrote a book about how to be successful. And he ended up being sued by every one of the boy bands because at the end of the day, some of these boy bands were each person was making about $300,000 a year, yet their sales were in the hundreds of millions.
So when you just said at first you say to yourself, let's say a 6-member band, right? They're each making $300,000. That's not a bad amount of money.
For a young kid,
But they had, songs that were top of the charts, right?
Yeah. The Backstreet Boys was the most successful boy band, and they said what he did is he would write these contracts where he was producer, talent, scout, booker, and then he would
fees.
Act as if the sixth manager or sixth member of the group.
band.
So he was also getting fees for what they were doing. So it started with he got sued by the first boy band, and every single one of them won. It was from a guy from the Backstreet Boys sued him first, and so he ended up losing. And he also had done some investments for them, which were 300 million.
In air quotes.
300 million Ponzi scheme. He was putting money in as investments. And so the judge said he was sentenced to 25 years, but the judge said to him, for every million you give back, I'll take a year off your
sentence.
So then he asked the judge if he could have two phones and an internet connection 2 days a week in his cell, so that he could still manage the bands and manage his business. You can't make it up. So
No, Tim, and that was so perfectly said. You can't make that up. Could you imagine the gall of asking the judge for cell phones and internet access in prison?
Yeah. They said
He's lucky if he's getting a roll of toilet paper.
Yeah, they said that when they finally caught him, so before he was sentenced to jail in 2007, he was high-talented all around Asia. And they caught up with him at a 4-star hotel in Indonesia. He signed in as the name A. Incognito Johnson. And they said some German tourist recognized him. He got arrested, brought back to the States. He ended up dying. He had a heart attack in jail, so he never served out his term. He died after about 9 years in prison, August 19th, 2016, at 62.
When you said he was born in 54... it struck me that he had, and he passed away a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, August 2016, August 19th.
Yeah, so at 62 is pretty young, in my opinion, and what a hurt! 9 years in jail.
9 years, but he didn't get any reduced sentence. He didn't claim any of the money. But the obit goes on and on and on. I mean, it's just it's hilarious almost, if it wasn't so real. But when you see some of the things that he did and got away with, so. Hey, friends of you. If you're friends of the show.
If you're friends of the show,
you know that one of our supporters here is Deep Discount. And right now they're having their site-wide summer sale.
Well said, because that's like she sells seashells by the seashore.
Right, so
site-wide summer sale.
Site-wide summer sale, which allows you to own your passion. If you head over to focusgroupradio.com and you click on the Deep Discount logo, you can start shopping away. And I don't know why this stuck in my mind, but when I went to the site, and I always end up getting lost. We both do. We get in there, you start looking around, particularly when it's a site-wide sale. And there was so much talk in the last few weeks about June 6th with the anniversary of the invasion of Normandy with the
D-Day.
D-Day.
Yep.
I was stumbling on that. And so the movie Saving Private Ryan, I thought was something I'd like to see again. I haven't seen it in a long time. I rarely see it getting played on.
Actually,
TV.
TBS or it was Turner Classic Movies ran Saving Private Ryan. Might have been a week and a half ago. It was the lead up. Turner Classic does it without, but it was the lead up to D-Day, and it's not a bad movie. I think it's a good movie.
It has Tom Hanks and also has Matt Damon and several others. But it's a great World War II epic. And they said one of the most realistic depictions of war. Anybody who's watched the movie or actually experienced that and then watched the movie said that they feel it was one of the most realistic depictions of war. If you can get through the first 30 minutes, it's tough.
Well, because it opens right when they're landing on the beaches.
On the beaches. So that was my pick this week.
My pick, in honor of Tim's picks from the previous 2 weeks because of Pride Month, I'm going to introduce everybody to a movie that I was introduced to at a film festival a couple years ago. And I was shocked because it's like Deep Discount has everything, but I typed this in and boom, up it comes. And it's a movie called The Killing of Sister George. It's basically a lesbian movie, okay? So there's this older actress, and her name is June Buckridge, and she's played by Beryl Reid. It's British. She's grown smugly complacent about her longtime TV soap opera stint, and on the soap opera, she plays a woman called Sister George. Okay.
So this came out in '68.
Yeah, and she says she's grown bored of and smugly complacent about her role as Sister George on this soap opera, and she's also kind of complacent about her domineering relationship with dependent young lover Alice, who's played by Susanna York. And in the movie, Alice usually goes by the term Childy. So the older British accent, Sister George, Childy, come here, take care of me. Childy, make me a cup of tea. So a liquor-fueled public scandal, however, gives cutthroat network exec Mercy Croft the leverage to terminate the former, Sister George, and horn in on the latter, Childy. I'm going to leave it at that and just say,
You watched it?
Yes. There are scenes where they're showing her filming her role, her Sister George thing, and she's on a scooter, and it looks like she's driving through little British towns, but it's a screen behind her, and then they'll go cut, and then she'll get off, she'll take a swig of the bottle, she goes, kick the scooter.
Our kind of movie.
Yes. Trust me, I don't know where it falls, if I had to put it like in a John Waters or something else, but it's on DVD. Definitely pick it up. I think it's only like $15.56 or something. Well worth a watch, and of course, it's pretty groundbreaking, the fact that this was done. And before I forget, I shouldn't have said this at the top. It's by director Robert Aldrich, great director. So it's an interesting thing from the 60s.
To get that.
Yeah, I think
I would like that.
There are moments where you're like, oh my God, I'm watching The Killing of Sister George. So,
and the new release this week, I wanted to see this in the theaters, and I didn't. Called Us, and it wasn't about the. Would you say it's science fiction?
Oh, it's horror. It's horror.
It's
Hey,
horror,
did you
but
guys see
there's
Us
also-
at all? Did anybody see Us? I was afraid to see it.
But it's not gory, is it? Is it? Because what ends up happening is they get doppelgangers of the family.
Of the whole family, yeah.
But she starts having premonitions that something bad's going to happen. The family's at Myrtle Beach or something. But I was wondering how you think you'd be scared.
Bob is dying to see it. So
Really?
when he knew that we
We should watch that with Richard. Richard loves that kind of movie.
Really?
Yeah. You and I will go have a cocktail.
Well, you know what? We're gonna buy this, and that's what they're gonna do, because Bob's like, you gotta get Us on Blu-ray.
Richard loves a horror movie.
I'm like, no, there's gonna be blood. There's gonna be that. I like the kind that Shamalama Ding Dong,
Shining.
like the Visit.
Or The Visit.
Which, by the way, I just got on DVD. I'm finally gonna watch it. That's psychological, though.
Yeah.
That's not like
Oh, yeah.
crazy stuff. All right. Own your passion. Visit Deep Discount by going to our site, focusgroupradio.com. Click on the shark logo. Arr, Sharky the Shark. I always do a pirate for the shark. I have no idea why. It's hardwired at this point.
Yep.
And it's a site-wide summer sale. Tim picked the movie Saving Private Ryan, a really, really great depiction of the horrors, actually, of war, right? World War II and the storming of Normandy. I picked a lesbian film from 1968. I take that back. It has a lesbian theme to it. There's the couple's lesbian, but it's definitely more than that. It's called The Killing of Sister George. Get it on DVD. And the release this week is Us by Jordan Peele. I'm scared of it, but we'll get it for Richard and Bob. All right, we're going to take a really quick break, and when we come back, but first, before we go on break, Garrett.
Thanks, Deep Discount.
Oh, that Amtrak took everything off the rails
Well, listen.
today, I tell you. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have a very quick shop talk for you. Or two of them, actually, but...
You're listening to The Focus Group with Tim and John. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com. Focus on the savvy side of 9 to 5 with The Focus Group.
Try, really try.
Listen, laugh, and learn with Tim and John.
I never try anything. I just do it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Focus Group. Happy Pride. We're in the middle of Pride here. We're in New York City. Tim Bennett here with my good friend and co-host, Mr. John Nash. Of course, Stephen Garrett in the booth. I'm bringing you live here via the magic. Hopefully, if you're watching on the Facebook live stream or the YouTube.
Or the YouTube.
YouTube live stream. I don't know which one's better. Some people say the YouTube is better to watch on.
I think the quality might be better on YouTube. I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
So we have a couple of shop talks this week, and one of them actually came from one of our listeners, Jay, in Cleveland, or in the Ohio area. And the headline is, Supermarket uses embarrassing plastic bags so customers will remember their reusable ones. So this is in Vancouver, British Columbia, which is north of Seattle. And the grocery store there has printed up these bags that have slogans that might make you embarrassed to ask for one or to be walking around. So if you're watching on our video feed, you'll see a couple of the bags. But one of them says, into the weird adult video emporium. Another bag was the Colon Care Co-op.
All right, so wait, the adult video one, that's done in that 70s kind of...
Porno type.
Chicka bow bow. It's like porn, you know?
So Vancouver has a single-use item reduction strategy, and they're trying to get all businesses to think up ideas on how to reduce use of these one-use, we all know the ubiquitous plastic bags at the grocery stores. I thought before I finished reading the article that this would backfire because I would like one of those bags. Would you, John?
Well, they're almost like art.
Yeah.
And I believe they're limited. Like it's not like they intentionally did a limited edition, but I do believe they're like, it's not indefinitely they're going to run these bags. Another bag says, wart ointment wholesale. Like someone had to sit there and think of these things, right?
It reminded me of the bag, remember Abercrombie and Fitch had those bags in the 90s that had all the kind of half-dressed male models and female models on them.
They weren't kind of half. They
were
barely
and I
dressed.
used to, and before we did the switchover, when I used to like Abercrombie clothes until they kicked me out as being a customer because of age. And then you'd get one of those bags as they started the crossover from just kind of preppy Ralph and Crew type clothing to this, whatever they were doing with little kids clothing. I wouldn't carry those bags.
So, do you think that the switch over for Abercrombie and Fitch with those with the Bruce Weber photography, that's what it was Bruce Weber. Did that happen? Was that late 90s, early 2000s?
94.
Okay, so if it was early to mid 90s, that was another kind of. I always thought the bags were hysterical because they were always being carried by people from out of town or tourists, and if you were gay, it's like a stealth show because it was always practically,
Well, so the deal here, though, I understand not wanting to use the plastic bags. I use mine over. People yell at me. I use them for dog waste or whatever. But I remember one time San Francisco had a similar ordinance, and John and I were traveling to San Francisco, and our luggage was late and wasn't going to get to the hotel in time, so we went out to buy some toiletries at the drugstore. And you and I have got toothpaste and razor blades and shaving cream and so forth, and we go up there. And then they wanted us to carry it all out, and we needed a bag. Remember what a hassle it was to get a bag?
To get a bag. Yeah.
So if you're a tourist going to a city like San Francisco or one of these other cities that have banned bags, I mean, they took all they could do to find. They finally gave us like a paper lunch bag.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. I remember that.
But which I understand that, but there are people that are traveling to your city that need a bag to put stuff in, right?
They should, if they're banning the plastic, they should just have a supply of paper bags.
Paper bags.
Because then we know that's recyclable. It's paper. Yeah, I agree.
We always had paper before, right? When we were growing up, it was all paper bags at the
Always
grocery
paper.
store. So what's the second article?
All right, so Tim found an article.
It's on CNN.
It's on CNN.com, and it was on CNN. They ran the piece about it. And the headline reads, "What It's Like to Be a White Woman Named LaKiesha." So these are ethnic or names that sound a certain way that you associate with different types of people. But it's this, in her case, it's a white woman, and she's white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, and her name is LaKiesha.
From very rural Ohio.
Rural Ohio, yeah. And she says it can be exhausting constantly explaining yourself to white people, even though you're white. At least 1 to 3 times a week, someone is saying something about my name. Lakeisha Francis, 28, bartender, and it's Western Ohio. Her parents named her Lakeisha because they were having a fight they couldn't decide what to name her. And they found this name, and the mother just thought that she liked the name Lakeisha. She never associated the name with anything ethnic or gender. Like she was just a normal name to her. It's like, oh, I like this name.
I typed in the column there, stupid.
Really?
For the mother.
Yeah.
They couldn't come up with a name, so they just random picked a name.
True.
I thought that was stupid.
So Tim and I have talked about this on a number of other shows that we've done, and there's a line in here that says, professors conduct studies on the success rate for job applicants with the names like Jamal. So they've actually done studies that show that certain names bump you up, and here is a quote. It's a famous experiment in which researchers sent out fictitious resumes in response to actual help-wanted ads. Each resume had identical qualifications, save for one variable. Some applicants had white-sounding names, such as Brendan, while others had black-sounding names, such as LaKiesha, spelled a little differently. The white-sounding applicants were 50% more likely to get calls for interviews than their black-sounding counterparts, researchers found. And then this woman, who's actually named LaKiesha, the one from Western Ohio, she says she's experienced this kind of bias firsthand. So what else did you take away from the piece?
Well, the thing that bothered her most was, and she was getting it from both sides. She said whether it was African Americans that thought she was making fun,
yeah,
or it was white people who are like, you've got to be kidding me. And my only thought about this, and I think this is where parents, and there's been lots of comics, particularly shows like In Living Color or Mad TV that have made fun of some of the names that people use to call their kids, particularly in the African American community. But the one thing that I had experienced was there was a gentleman that I worked with, and he had an unusual name I never heard before. He's African American, and every single time we'd go somewhere or meet somebody new or a vendor was there, and I could sense him getting aggravated because it was like, what's your name again? Can you spell it? How do you spell it? And it was spelled not like it sounded.
Yeah, that's right.
And I thought his whole life,
whole time,
he's got to go through this. And this is what LaKiesha had said: is she was waiting tables, and she was so tired of explaining her name that she wanted to call herself Emily, just to go by it. But she said, that's my name. My parents gave me the name.
And that's
what it is. But I used to feel for the guy I worked with, because without fail, the first thing we had to do before we talked any business and anything is, what's your name again?
Hey, look,
how do you say it?
We worked with him, and I fell prey to the same thing. How do you spell it? Even just how do you spell it?
Where's it come from? What? Okay.
I think we have Don from Alabama on the line with a name story.
Oh, hi, Don.
Hi, guys. Yeah, I have a boyfriend who was an elementary school teacher in Atlanta, or just outside of Atlanta. And it was first day of class. He's an art teacher, so he's doing roll. And he looks down at the name, and he looks up, and there's this adorable little African-American girl sitting in the third chair. He looks back down at the name. He looks back up. Now, if you have a pen and a piece of paper, write this down. Her name was spelled S-H-I-T-H-E-A-D.
Oh, I know this one.
He said, honey, how do you pronounce your name? And she said, my name's Shatheed.
Shatheed. They're using that now in a lot of...
Wait. Shatheed?
Shatheed.
And that, the New York Times did a story about that. Seems to be a popular name now. The other one that goes with that, Don, is ABCDE. Absidy. Can't make it up. Absidy and Shatheed are two.
My mom was a teacher and always told the story that she had a student named Famale because the mom thought the U.S. named your children and they put female on the baby.
And they pronounced it Famale. So we have Shatheed, we have Famale.
I love that skit in Living Color. The white kind of smoking employment agency woman comes out and she's yelling to the female pajamas, and finally the girl gets up and says, it's Famale Pajame. She's like, whatever. Friend of mine in the hospital. Friend of mine worked in the hospital. Chris, may rest his soul. He delivered 2 babies. They were twins. They were Twin A and Twin B, and the mothers called the kids Twinna and Twimba. She said, "Oh, they're already named."
Twinna and Twimba. I am shocked at this. I've never heard the Shathade.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
There was New York Times did a whole thing
Shathade.
on it. Shathade, yeah.
Shathade.
Yeah, Shathade. And that's just like, you just think every so often he says, I wonder where that little girl is now and how many people she's had to axe murder.
Yeah.
Well, see, but don't you think, I mean, I feel sorry for her because why do the parents saddle the kids with that, right? I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't think it's, I mean, I know we're laughing at it because it's crazy, but I can't imagine and even these parents that give their kids these other crazy names that don't make sense.
You know, the comedians Key and Peele, there's this whole shtick they do when they play like NBA players or something, and they make up these more and more outrageous, crazy names you could barely pronounce. Wow, Don, you know, that old boyfriend that was the school teacher, I bet after that day he had to head over to Swingin' Richards for a nightcap or something.
We're going to have to get you guys there before it closes.
Oh, hey, is that true? Are they closing?
I won't say they're closing, but it's definitely not what it used to be.
Yeah, somebody had posted on our Facebook site that it was, you know, go now while you can.
Yeah.
It's going to change.
Yeah, it's in bankruptcy.
Oh.
That's what I had heard, yeah. And there was actually a movie I saw on either Netflix or Amazon Prime. It was a documentary about some of the dancers at Swinging Richards and the tight-knit group that they are. But that's a unique place. And do you still have your Swinging Richards t-shirt?
I wear it all the time. I love it.
Don sent Tim we all got a bunch of t-shirts. I got NASA. I got a bunch.
I forgot about it. I was walking around the neighborhood, walking the dog with it, and all the neighbor ladies were, whoa, what's that place?
Swinging Richards?
Oh, gosh.
Hey, thanks for the call, Don.
Thanks, guys.
All right, now
Shathade Nash.
Shathade, yeah. Ooh, that is
an Absidy Bennett.
So the article basically, Don's call is a perfect wrap-up for the article because that's exactly where they came down on this, which is you can't control the name the parents give you, but it will have an impact on your passage through life, which is, you know.
Which is sad.
Well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, you know, actually, no, you're right. Because if someone had given me the name Shathade.
Right. Well, and they talked about they did a story about a Muslim girl who had to explain as well with her name, and it'd be no different than if you gave somebody a very old world name here. If you would anybody ever give a kid the name Bertha now? No. Or Ethel or something, which were popular names, right?
Very popular.
So, you know, it's the same sort of thing.
I heard one the other day. I heard someone was named Harriet. Like, Harriet is one of those names that's just, it feels like it's past, you know.
I have friends that just named their daughter Hazel.
I like Hazel. Although, when I think of Hazel, I think of Hazel Burke. The what's that TV show?
Yeah, Hazel.
Hazel, yeah.
Shirley Booth.
That's the one. All right, we're going to wrap it up here, folks. Thanks for joining us today. Glad that Tim was able to survive the travails of Amtrak. Down power lines, a microburst brought a tree down. You still pulled into Penn Station. You showed up, you put on your game face, and you gave us the Tim Bennett that we all know and love.
I need to change, though.
Later, we could change later. Thank you to Deep Discount. Site-wide summer sales going on at the deepdiscount.com. Go to focusgroupradio.com, click on their logo, which is the shark R, and start your shopping. Tim recommended Saving Private Ryan. I highly recommend a movie that you should pick up on DVD called The Killing of Sister George. It's in honor of Pride Month. And the new release this week is Us, which Tim and I may not watch, but our other halves will, because they like horror films. So we're going to pick that up for them. Remember, everybody, to don't text and drive, always arrive alive, and we are going to see you in the new week. So thanks again for joining us.
It's The Focus Group with Tim Bennett and John Nash. Accessible on all platforms. Subscribe, like, and rate us on your platform of choice. Learn more at focusgroupradio.com.
That was a stunning focus group.